Now, just days after the military action in Venezuela, the Senate will return from their holiday break as we take a live look now at our nation's capital. You've got Democratic leaders from both chambers demanding immediate briefings to Congress on the operation. Lawmakers also face another threat, a potential government shutdown when federal funding runs out on January 31st.
That's one of the problems with this action in Venezuela. How does it actually improve the quality of life of everyday Americans? How is it in America's national security interest? Why doesn't Donald Trump and their administration focus on dealing with the affordability crisis?
I'm a member of the Gang of Eight, and I have yet to get a phone call from anybody in the administration. Whether you think Congress leaks or not, the law says you must brief the Congress. So this is just yet another example of absolute lawlessness on the part of this administration.
Okay, joining me now to talk about this, Congressman Jonathan Jackson. He's a Democrat from Illinois. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. We wanted to talk to you because you, of course, are also on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And you were telling me during the break that people are flying in, like everyone was caught off guard and they're rushing back to Washington.
Well, it was before we went on the Christmas recess break, we had the intel meeting with Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, and others, and we were given a briefing, which was very inconsequential. They shared no information, and frankly, we were lied to. We were told that there was no plans in action for regime change or anything.
So that
Venezuela.
Came up?
Yes, it did. It came up very specifically. And so as we can see now, this activity has been in motion since August, September. They've been on the ground. They've been planning this for some time. So there's been no consultation with the Congress. There's been no authorization of the appropriations funding. There's been no recognition of the Wars Power Act to have some sort of declaration before us. And so the president is doing this in his attitude, America first means America alone. He has completely iced out, blocked out the United States Congress. And I agree with Congressman Don Bacon and other people. Many people have come here to do a serious job, but the president simply is violating all these constitutional norms.
Can I ask you about what we've heard from Randy Fine earlier and others? Here's J.D. Vance tweeting a PSA for everyone saying this was illegal. Maduro has multiple indictments in the U.S. for narco-terrorism. You don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the U.S. because you live in a palace in Caracas. Address this. If is someone who the U.S. was not recognizing as a legitimate leader and has these indictments against him, what makes it illegal?
Well, an indictment is not a conviction, number one. I'm not standing up in support of what Mr. Maduro has signed and recommended, but I am standing up for the process of due process. So now, as an elected foreign leader, however he got there, and they have some election discrepancy, is Mr. Maduro a prisoner of war at this point? Was he abducted? Was he kidnapped? This is simply more than arrest. You don't send the United States military. These were the same military helicopters that came over Chicago this summer. And so the president is doing things very whimsically. So what is this doctrine? This is a might is right doctrine. And so Mr. Hegseth, I would say, still has to account to the United States Congress for the double boat tap. That's a violation of international law for people that are stranded at sea.
Yeah.
And are we going to fundamentally member and disaggregate the world order that the United States put in place after World War II? And this is what it's beginning to show the strains of a new world. And so if the United States can do this, can Russia do this in this hemisphere with Ukraine? This follows their justification. Can the Chinese do this with Taiwan in their hemisphere? Isn't this what the United States went to war with?
Yeah.
And returning the Kuwaitis back to power after Saddam Hussein said that was the legitimate 19th province of the Iraqi country. So
Okay.
it opens up more questions than answers.
You're actually, that's basically the introduction to the next thing we're going to talk about, all right? So I'm going to bring in the panel for this because this is another thing we wanted to address. Is the U.S. engaging in regime change? Is it something that President Trump, who criticized it as part of his past presidential campaigns, is turning to? For the U.S., attempts at regime change in Iraq in particular resulted in years of U.S. military intervention. Now, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says, look, this time is different.
The whole, foreign policy apparatus thinks everything is Libya, everything is Iraq, everything is Afghanistan. This is not the Middle East. And our mission here is very different. This is the Western Hemisphere. Within the Western Hemisphere, we have a country, potentially a very rich country, that has cozied itself up under the control of this regime, has cozied up to Iran, has cozied up to Hezbollah, has allowed narco trafficking gangs to operate with impunity from their own territory, allows boats with drugs to traffic from their territory, and we are addressing that.
Can you address that, the idea that, look, this is the Western Hemisphere, this is not Iraq, this is not the Middle East?
Well, I would tell you this, from Caracas, Venezuela to Chicago is 2,500 miles. It's drivable. It's one contiguous landmass. So what I would tell Secretary Rubio is that the consequences are substantially different. Some people in the country may not know where Afghanistan is and other places, but they will definitely know what the refugees and migrant crisis is going to mean. When 7 million people have had to leave out of Iraq, out of Venezuela to go into neighboring countries, when Chicago received 30,000 people from Venezuela, you're going to see a migratory flow unless the United States lifts the sanctions and lets them be able to sell their oil. 90% of the Venezuelan economy is from oil exports, and now we're kidnapping Piracy Act of taking people's ships so they cannot have any money.
Well, just so we're clear, right now we're actually looking, this is the route, I guess, from Brooklyn to the courthouse, which is pretty secured. This is where Maduro is going to be due in court in just a few hours. Alex and Michelle, can I ask you about this? The question that is most pressing is who's running Venezuela in the interim? We have an answer, the vice president. But when we say we're running it, what are the benchmarks for success? What is the exit? Has the White House discussed anything about that?
Well, that's the question here, and that's what's made this so muddled. And beyond what are the benchmarks, what are the steps that the U.S. will take if it feels that whoever's running Venezuela is not taking the steps that the U.S. wants them to take? What are there going to be troops on the ground? What does that look like? We've had this kind of conflated message of the Maduro government was not a legitimate government. They were not legitimately elected, but his vice president was left in place. His defense minister was left in place. But we're seeing President Trump and Secretary Rubio's comments yesterday that there will be pressure applied if the vice president, who's now running Venezuela, if she doesn't take steps that the U.S. feels are appropriate, then she might be out too. So it's very unclear what
And
the
even
day-to
out, we
plan
don't know
is.
what out
means.
by what means.
And we've heard the president talk about the U.S. somehow having a role in setting up elections there. There's questions about what that would look like, when that would be. Are we monitoring elections?
Yeah.
There's just a whole.
So we're
swarm of
starting
things.
Monday with more questions than answers. I'm sure you guys want answers, but being Democrats, you're not in power. What is in your power to ask for or demand this week?
Well, I think that we can first start with the appropriations. Who paid for this? To be able to have our troops set off of the Venezuelan shore cost an extraordinary amount of money. You heard all the military hardware that was used. These wars are not cheap. I've heard estimates
So who's going to pay for
$2 to
this?
$3 billion, absolutely. And then what's the transition of power? Is this something that the people absolutely want? I mean, I can't imagine an oil executive, and I've spoken to many in the last couple of days, that wants to sign a contract to invest in Venezuela.
They're not excited.
No, not at all.
Okay, we'll see about
wait
that.
and see. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also going to wait and see for this visit by Maduro to the courthouse, where this whole conversation about narco-terrorism, the charges, which you'll be able to go online and read for yourself, all of that is going to be public. So right now, we're going to be watching this for the next couple of hours, this path from New York to the steps of the courthouse, Nicolas Maduro to face a judge of some kind, right, in this conversation.
Well, and who is his lawyer? Is he going to have a public defender? Like, what is the due process? Who is his peers that are going to be on the court? I mean, this is the head of state. There's so many questions.
Well, Congressman, thank you so much for helping us tease some of them out. We hope you'll come back when you have some. Thank you to the panel.